Okay guys, I told you in a shop update last Friday that I was going to bring something new into the shop, a new project, a new vehicle for me to haul with. Let me give you a shot of the shop before. Okay, in my shop update video, I told you that I was going to get a new vehicle, something that I needed for hauling, and it was going to be a project. Well, I got the vehicle. It's in the shop. I brought it in yesterday. Actually, this is the second time that I'm filming this. I filmed a segment yesterday, wasn't happy with the way it came out, so kind of redoing it. So anyways, yesterday we went out. When I say we, my grandson went with me because we did two things. We went out and got that new vehicle that I talked about, and I also took that old Chevy truck that I pulled the engine and transmission out to the junkyard yesterday. So that's kind of why that my truck is in the shop. It snowed last night, and I want to put the weight bracket back in it after having taken it out to hook up the trailer. But I want to get that back in because we're supposed to get some snow next couple of days. So, but anyways, I regressed from the point. I went out and got it, so I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, there it is. It is a 1971 Ford F-750. Now, let me explain to you why I got it, and why this is way outside of the box for me, because I really wasn't a Ford fan. But let me explain that to you. Okay. Before I explain my reasoning behind the Ford issue, let me take you for a walk around the truck. And then, even before I walk you around the truck, let me explain to you. Some of you probably right now are thinking, are you friggin' nuts? 71 truck and you're gonna haul stuff long distances? Well, I will explain it to you. So let me show you the truck. Again, it's a 1971 Ford F-750. It has a gas engine in it. The truck is in fairly pristine condition. I mean, the paint is really faded on it, but as you can see from the front bumper, with the exception of this ding and the grille, it is in immaculate condition. And it's in immaculate condition because it was a fire truck. It only has 16,000 miles on it, or 350 hours on it. There are some things that you're going to see that probably won't like or will challenge my judgment on, and one of them is the split rims, and I will address that in a later issue. But as you can see, look at the mirrors, that they hardly even look used. Spotlights on both sides of it. The interior, there was some oil spilled. Vinyl, black vinyl interior. There is no, with the exception of that, there is no marks in it. I will explain all of the interior to you in further as I get into this video. As you can see, there is very little rust on this truck. Now, the truck was a tanker, a fire truck tanker, and this little part here is part of that. The tank had been removed. I didn't want the tank. He had actually removed it before I got to the truck. So you see a bunch of surface rust on this, but that's all it is just surface rust on it. Again, we have the wheels with the split rims. Now, the back of the truck is the tank had all of the lighting, the tail lights and the running lights lighting on it. So to get the truck inspected and registered, I am going to have to throw some lighting in here temporarily. And let me explain the registration and inspection a little bit later, but let's continue the view of the truck. As you can see, the rubber is fairly good on this thing. They are 20-inch rims, 10 by 20 tires. The inside one is a little chewed up, but basically it's in fairly good condition. Has an external 12-volt battery on it. They actually might have had 2 batteries on it at one point in time, but I'm not really sure. That is the battery box off of it. Again, the interior, the glove box was a little hard to get open, but when we did get it open, we found some manuals in there for it. Underneath this bench seat, the Motorola radio was still in there. Again, all of the accents, spotlights, mirrors, everything is in pretty pristine condition. Let me show you under the hood. That is an original factory scoop on that thing. And what we have is a big block Ford V8. I'm not exactly sure. They had 3 different size engines, V8 engines, that they could have installed in this. So we can eliminate one of them because it had a 2-barrel carburetor on, and this clearly has a 4-barrel carburetor on. But we can eliminate one of them, but what I've got to do is go to the letter code on the truck and find out the exact size of this engine. There's a bunch of stuff on here. This is was probably a tank heater that went to the tank to keep the water from freezing in the winter time. I'm not really sure of that, but that's probably illogical. I know a lot of fire trucks had tank heaters on that were in cold climates to usually the tank was kept in, or the truck was kept indoors in the fire department during non-use hours, but when you were in use, the truck could be outside in the wintertime for a long time, so they usually had a circulating heater in the thing that ran off of the engine to keep the water from freezing inside of the tank. But here it is, pristine condition. Again, there's a lot of people that are going to probably think that I'm nuts for buying a 71 vehicle and using it for long haul, but let me explain that to you, and I will cut you off and we will come back and talk about it. Okay, the first thing that I want to delve into is, before I do anything with this truck, I need to get it registered and inspected. And the reason that is the first and foremost point in this whole issue is because I live in New York State. This was a fire truck in New York State. As a fire truck through a volunteer fire company, it was never registered or inspected. It was sold to a farmer through an auction, and he never registered or inspected it because all he really wanted it for was the tank that was on it. So the truck has never been registered or inspected in New York State. And that could be an issue. If anybody lives in New York State and is familiar with the New York State Motor Vehicle Department, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If I ask 5 people in the DMV the same question, I would probably come up with 5 different answers. So getting this thing registered, inspected is my priority. So my first objective into this thing is getting it registered and inspected, and so that I've got that hurdle past me, and that I know that the thing is good to be registered in New York State. So that's the first
Okay,
objective. Let's get into the discussion about Fords. I know that there's probably a lot of Ford lovers out there, and I know there's probably a lot of Ford haters out there. So let's not click off of this thing just because you're a Ford hater. I told you in the beginning of the video that I did not like Fords, and this is way outside of the box for me, but the reason why I went to that farm to begin with to pick up a truck or to look at trucks was he had a Chevy C60 listed, and it was there, and I looked at it. It had issues. The couple of issues were it had quite a bit of rust on it. The second issue is in the motor compartment. The motor compartment was kind of a lot shorter than the Ford behind me has, being that part of the engine was tucked under the firewall in a little recess, and I want to kind of get away from that for what I am going to be doing. So small motor compartment, the general truck condition is kind of the reason I got away from that. Then I actually never saw this before I looked at this Chevy. When I got a hold of a sight on this thing and saw the condition of it, kind of looked at what mileage were on it and what hours were on it, I was kind of hooked on it. So a long time ago, you know, when I was younger, I liked Fords too. I mean, I was kind of always a primary Chevy guy, but I did like Fords. Ford trucks. Ford trucks were kind of the working guy's truck. But this is my opinion. So in the mid-70s, the beginning to mid-70s is when Ford started going downhill as far as trucks were concerned, reliability was concerned, fuel mileage was concerned, and the cost of them. Again, it's my opinion, they just went downhill drastically. And it's my opinion that they kind of are continuing that run until this day. And again, I'm not going to get into a Ford, Chevy, Dodge dispute. The truck isn't about being a Ford or a Chevy, and you'll see that coming up. So stick with me. The next topic we're going to talk about is what my plans are for this truck. Okay, the plans for the truck. As I said before, the first thing and the primary thing is I need to get it registered. Now, I might be able to take the bill of sale that I got from him and walk into a DMV and they give me a registration. But that's very doubtful. So, as I said, the primary thing is to get the truck registered first. And to get it registered, I've got to do those taillights in the back, hook it up, got to remove that red light, and probably spray over those insignias on the side of the door saying that it belonged to a volunteer fire company. Then I can probably get it registered and inspected. It might be a long process, and in the meantime, we will be doing other things if that's the case, but I will let you know. So what I'm going to do to the truck is, a lot of you first saw this truck and thinking of me pulling it long haul, you probably thought I was friggin' nuts. old axles, old tires, old split rims, things like that. Here's what my plans are. My plans are to remove both axles. I can go to a truck salvage yard and get new axles off of a fairly new truck that doesn't have split rims, that has the regular truck style rims now, 22.5 rim. I can get the front axle assembly probably with disc brakes. Now that's not a guarantee it'll have disc brakes, but it'll probably very well could have disc brakes. I can get our new axle for the front end of the truck for $800. The same way with the back axle. I'm planning on replacing that back axle, getting rid of the split rim hub type assemblies, and getting a 2-speed rear end. I can get a rear axle assembly for this truck to fit into this thing. Dualies, 2-speed, again, probably disc brakes. Not guaranteed it'll be disc brakes, but probably disc brake assemblies on the hubs for $1,800. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up all of this surface rust off of this. Probably do things like take these old brackets that for the tank off, and start doing some stuff like that. But I've got to get them lines off of there. Those are brake lines, and I would probably route them inside of the frame. So, okay, you know that I'm going to build it up into probably a flatbed with a gooseneck hitch on it. 2-haul gooseneck style trailers. I've also got a 5th wheel adapter if I ever wanted 2-haul 5th wheel campers, etc. I can do that. What I'm gonna do, what I'm thinking about doing, is putting a small sleeper on the back of it. There's a place in Kansas that sells salvage sleepers, and you can get anything from something that is in terrible condition to something that's in absolutely good condition. Now I'm only thinking about putting a small sleeper on it, just enough for it would have some storage space under the bunk, compartments under the bunk, and a bunk up there. I'm not thinking of having a refrigerator or cupboards or anything like that in it, just a small sleeper. The interior. I'm going to strip out all of this stuff that has to do with the fire truck stuff. There was things for the pump, things for the tank, etc., etc. The bench seat will come out, and I will probably put a couple of truck seats in here, air ride truck seats in here. The steering wheel will probably be changed, and etc. It's probably going to be well insulated so that it stays warm. Not sure about air conditioning yet. As far as the mirrors and stuff, I really like the look of those old style mirrors. They are in excellent condition. The only thing that I might change is it's a standard size mirror. I think that's 6 by 16. I would probably stay with that, except in a heated type mirror, and then add a couple of round mirrors to it, like fisheye mirrors for seeing up beside the truck. The spotlights are gonna stay. They probably work. They're in great condition, excellent condition, and they kind of add to the look of the truck. Of course, the light is going. That antenna up there would be going. Now, we'll get to the engine compartment. What my plans are for this thing is to pull this engine out of here and probably put something like an 8.3 Cummins in it. There's a lot of work that would have to be done. The motor mounts would have to be redone so that it could fit into there. Probably try to get most people call them intercoolers, but they're actually aftercoolers in front of the radiator. A lot of work would have to be done to that. I would probably leave that existing hood scoop on there. That is the intake. By the way, there is the air cleaner. That air cleaner off of the engine. The intake actually went over to that scoop on the hood and kind of mounted up to it. It didn't mount to it, but it would seal itself when the hood was closed down onto the air cleaner intake. So we'll review. My intention is to change the axles, which would put me with better tires, better rims, newer axles that would I would feel more secure with in long hauls. A diesel engine, Cummins 8.3. I'm not sure about the transmission. It has an existing 5-speed in it. I'm not sure if the 5-speed, I'll be looking into it, whether that 5-speed is in good condition and would work well with a Cummins, if I can even get an adapter plate for the engine to that transmission. If it doesn't, then I'll look at getting a salvage transmission out of a truck that would adapt to it. So we talked about the interior, putting some new seats in it, insulating it. I would put gauges and stuff in to adapt to the new engine, come up with some kind of configuration. I don't want to destroy the new or the existing dashboard, but I could always put some kind of now that it would have kind of like bucket seats or truck seats in here, air ride truck seats. Maybe I could configure something that would have switches and gauges into it that would not harm the original dashboard. With the seats in it, there would be a pass-through to the sleeper unit. Of course, that window and stuff would have to come out. It would be insulated so that I could keep it warmer in the winter time. I'd probably take that, well, that box is going to come off because it's attached to that part that was part of the tank. I'll put a battery box on it. My plans are to put a couple of saddle tanks on it for fuel. And then there's going to be a deck over here, a deck on top of it. Of course, the gooseneck hitch adapter will be back in here over the center of the axle, but there will be a flat deck over it that'll probably, I'm not sure if it'll extend out over the wheels or tires, or I'm going to put fenders on it. If there's room, I'll probably put a couple of small boxes on it, and behind the sleeper I might even put a headache rack. So you guys are probably thinking, what the heck? I mean, it's an old truck. Yeah. But with these modifications in the condition of the body itself and the frame, what I'm doing is putting the running components fairly new on an old chassis and frame that's in good condition. So what I'm in essence doing is I could go out and buy a new truck like this and pay a ton of money for it. As anybody knows the cost of new trucks, diesel trucks, pay a ton of money for it, or convert this thing, which is kind of cool and old school kind of cool, to new running gear, new axles, sleeper, stuff like that, for a lot less money than I would ever be paying for that, and have something that's kind of cool and that I kind of built myself. So that's my intentions, and there'll be a lot more on this truck and its build. It'll probably be a series, but again, and I can't emphasize this enough, the first thing that has to happen is that I need to get this registered and inspected, and nothing is going to be built on this truck until I get that done. So it will be a ongoing project and a series in my shop, but it probably won't start until after I can secure registration and inspection on the truck. So I'll bring you back. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little wrap-up video here. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of comments of people wanting to know certain specific things, and don't take this as being the overview, complete overview of what I plan on doing with the truck. And also that things could change. I might decide to do something else as far as an engine goes, or transmission, or sleeper. Things are all subject to change. So I will be posting other videos on the truck, updates on it, where we're going, and a build of it. But so just don't, if you've got questions, leave them in the comment box. The other thing that I want to kind of touch on, and I'm afraid we're going to get going here on a Ford Chevy issue, Ford lovers, Ford haters. I really don't want that happening. Again, it's not about the truck, the make of the truck. It's more about what the truck is going to be used for. By the time that I'm done, if my plans go as I envision them, the only thing that is going to be Ford about this truck is the body of it. So I know people have got opinions about makes and models of cars, and it turns out to be almost like a political subject. You know, once you start talking about something, everybody jumps in with their opinion on it. So if you want to leave your opinion, but I really don't want the comment box turning into a argument over which is better, which maker model is better. So leave a comment, ask questions about my build, and I will respond to you as much as I can.